Okay, so we have covered breaking down the performance task. We watched a model lesson by Michael and Emily. And so now we just want to go over our secondary RLA planning protocol. And it's basically what we've already done some of it. So remember when we broke down the performance test for unit 1 of the lesson that we were going to view with Emily and Michael, we looked at the big picture, right? And we looked at our control panel and we wrote out that sentence at the very top that said students will study blank in order to learn. So I always like going back and looking at our control panel, like I said, because it gives us that unit overview. It gives us those big ideas, the essential questions, kind of that big umbrella of what we're going to be teaching for that specific unit. So we always want to start there and have what's the big picture, what is the big idea for this unit. And then after we do that, for step 2, we go on to breaking down the standards, specific standards of what we're going to be teaching, and then also the breakdown of our performance task. So when I talked about it, when we were breaking down the performance task, I did mention the guidance documents. And so if you go to your year at a glance, you'll see that it'll have your Unit 1 guidance document. And we like using these documents because it really hones in on the specific TEKs that are really essential that we want to make sure that we target for each specific unit. And because it's English, we have so many TEKs and it can be very extensive and overwhelming, especially we have new TEKs now. So if you're brand new to teaching, then you know these are going to be the TEKs that you know. But if you've been teaching for a while and you're new to the district, there are new TEKs that we're still getting acquainted with. So this guidance document kind of helps with looking at what are the essential standards for that specific unit. And so we want to take a look and skim through our focus standards, and we want to see which are the ones that we know are going to be our heavy hitters. And you're going to see throughout the year there's some that are every unit they come up because they are the ones that are very essential and they're repetitive and across all our units. So we'll take a moment and we'll kind of skim through the focus. And then we'll scroll down here. Let's say that, we see that 9A explaining the author's purpose and the message within the text. We know that that's going to be a heavy hitter, and it's across the board throughout the school year. It's something that's really important for 8th grade. So we know that that's going to be essential. So what we did here is we kind of created these kind of teacher moves, student moves, exactly what the teachers and the student will be completing to kind of help with that specific standard. And so this kind of gives you a better idea. So you can like skim through this, like what will I be doing to ensure that I'm teaching 8.9A? Then these are the specific things that as a teacher I will be modeling. Right? So you can skim through that as well. And then, because remember, we're still in step 2, and then we'll go back to our control panel and we'll look at our performance task for this unit, which again, we already kind of went through this when I broke down that performance task for you. But this is kind of showing you how it's all connecting, how this is our protocol of like planning. You want to make sure that you're beginning with the end in mind. So again, we'll go back to that performance task and we'll look and see, what are the specific things that the students are doing in each task. Some of the tasks are broken up into different parts. So it's even chunked even further. So I, as a teacher, need to go through it and kind of see. And then we know that looking at the very end of Unit 1, what is the goal? What is it that we want them to accomplish at the end of that unit? So that kind of narrows it down a little bit more. So that is unpacking the standards and the performance task. And again, just like I modeled before, that is something that I would urge you to do as a teacher. It doesn't take very long, and the more you do it, the better you get at it. And will also teach you how to really narrow down the standards that are very essential for your students and for you to be teaching in your class. So then we'll move on to the planning the daily instruction, and that's going to be part 3. And if you go back to your guidance document and you click on those essential standards, like I said, so this kind of helps you further see like what are the things that I as a teacher need to be modeling for that daily instruction. If you look at your control panel, where is my control panel? Here it is. If you look at your control panel, you'll see that under instruction, we have learning targets, and you'll want to click on that. And these are exemplar learning targets, but this will help plan your daily instruction as well. Because we do have, again, like I said, those essential heavy hitter standards that we know are gonna be imperative that we teach in class. So for example, I know performance task 1, 8.8a, demonstrate knowledge of literary genres. What are my learning targets? Where would I start with that? This would be like a learning target that I could start with, and I know that I want my students to learn. How do I know that they're learning it? This is going to be my success criteria. If they can do these things, then I know that I'm hitting my target. So this kind of breaks it apart further to help you kind of plan a little bit more. Again, these aren't for every single day. These are exemplars, but this will help give you an idea of what you want to be doing when you're creating those learning targets. And then what is the success criteria that you want your students to be able to accomplish in order to tell you as a teacher, to let you know that they are being successful in learning those learning targets. So I would take a look at this document too. And then again, I would go back to this guidance document. And then I would look at, okay, so now I have some learning targets in mind. These are my teacher moves. This is what I need to model in class for my students personally. So I make sure that I'm modeling this for them. And then this is essentially what the students can be doing on their own to ensure that they're going to hit that success criteria. So these individual bullets, those can be part of your daily instruction. And then you're going to want to always consider any kind of instructional implications. So you're always considering, what students do you have? What's your student data look like? Do you need a scaffold? Is there need to be some interventions? Do students have learning disabilities in that class? So specifically, who and what resources are available to them? So you're always considering that. Considering the data, if you are teaching English 2, you're going to want to look at your English 1 star data scores or MAP scores and kind of build off of that, because you know that your students this year, that's their previous scores. So you're taking in all those instructional implications, as well as completing this, but you always want to have that in the back of your mind, because again, every single class and student is different. So it's not a one size fits all. You're really going to have to make sure that you're modeling it and you're kind of like fixing it for yourself to be the most beneficial for your students and for you as a teacher. I also want you to take a look at some of these other resources that we have available for you. So if you click on instructional resources, this will kind of help with any scaffolding that you may need. Also with your daily instruction, you'll have different strategies that we already outlined that we know will be helpful for this specific unit. So for example, we know that theme comes up in this unit, and we already have a strategy in here that would help with that. So it's like big ideas to build on with theme. And we'll also have different text in there that you can use. So there's lots of different resources that you can use for that specific unit. So I would encourage you to kind of go in there and look through the various tasks. And thank you.